Welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to be discussing the automobile crisis and the coming collapse of the automobile market. Now, we've touched on the housing market and its coming collapse, and we all know that we've been expecting at some point in time in the future that there's going to be some type of economic collapse that's going to affect the whole world. And what I'm trying to do is help people at least start thinking about and putting themselves in position for when these things happen. I'm not just going to talk about cars. I'm going to talk about buses and motorcycles, construction equipment, boats, whatever, because I think that's very important when you're trying to think about the future. Now, before I get started, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinion on that information. Now, folks, for about 1 year, I did try in my life to be a car salesman, and it's very, very difficult. And there's a lot of sharks in the water, the people that you work with that are willing to pounce and take any advantage if they think that they can get your customer or whatever the case. But one of the things that I've been seeing, and you can see here on my YouTube, I typed in the car market crash of 2024. There's all types of videos. This one by Car Questions Answered. I'm going to put that video, the link in the description, because it's a compilation of different people talking about the car market crash of 2024. You can go also here and type in auto loan apocalypse, where there's more videos where more people are discussing this. And a lot of these videos are getting hundreds of thousands of views on what's getting ready to happen. And a lot of it just has to do with the economy and people not being able to afford their cars. And I'm going to share some articles. Auto loan delinquency rates reach highest level since 1994. This is October of 2023. With car repossessions and home foreclosures rising, some Americans are living on a financial cliff, right? That's in April 29th of 2023. A growing number of Americans have found themselves strapped for cash and looking for financial relief as the U.S. economy slows down. Delinquency rates at highest level in almost 30 years. So one of the things that I've been thinking about is how will I be able to use this to my advantage in the future when we know the things that are getting ready to happen. And unfortunately, because of interest rates and many other factors, that people aren't able to afford cars anymore. And if you remember the used car market, people were turning in their used cars and getting just as much as they were for a brand new one. You have a lot of other factors that have hurt the car market. Because you remember for a long time they weren't able to get microchips, and you got the whole thing with these factories going on strike and not able to get certain parts in and stuff. Like batteries are super expensive, different parts on cars are very expensive, and some of the pricings that I've even encountered myself of car parts have been absolutely ridiculous. And so one of the things that I'm thinking is like, okay, we know that there's some really bad things that are happening, and unfortunately people are losing their homes and they're losing their cars. And what I'm trying to do is trying to help people put themselves in the position for this time period when it does happen, when you're actually able to get vehicles pennies on the dollar. And and if things get as bad as they've been prophesied, you're going to see a lot of car dealerships shut down. You're going to see them just basically almost giving away cars. And I've seen it when I did work for a car dealership where there were some cars that had been on the lot for a long time, and they did everything they could, almost giving away the car just to get it off the lot. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of that. And so just start thinking about, as far as for yourself and for your family, for your ministry, or even a business, how you're going to be able to take advantage if you're able to start buying cars with the finances that you have. Right, especially from this bull run that we're going to be having in the stock market and in the crypto markets, that's going to put us in the position to prepare for what's to come down the road in the future. You also have the issue of people are kind of getting away from EVs now. Even Hertz is selling 20,000 electric vehicles to buy gasoline cars instead. It's too much of a hassle. There's too many other issues, and it's just one of those things where we're not ready for that industry yet. America is not ready, and neither is the world. And they're trying to move too fast into this. I know we do have to get away from gasoline eventually, or they need to develop something that is like an additive to gasoline that makes them less pollutant. Also, here's an article about boat sales. Innovation takes center stage as the U.S. boat sales cool following the virus era demand surge, right? So recreational boating, other types of boats. So you have that issue. I'm also touching on the construction heavy equipment sales. This article here, Caterpillar shares fall on equipment demand concerns despite earnings beat. Now, we have a Caterpillar that's less than 2 hours away, and they put out construction equipment and everything else. And then also, too, with China. And things have slowed down in China. They literally have cities that are like that have been built, and nobody's living in them. And I've seen videos where people are visiting these cities, and it was actually a lot of the construction that went on in China was very cheaply done. I was reading this article about what does it look like for construction equipment sales. And I think, it's going to be steady for a while, but, eventually, if the economy goes in the way that we think it's going to go, a lot of construction will come to a halt. There's already contracts and stuff that are being developed now. Like you see here, UK government pledges to ramp up nuclear power plant construction. And then you have Saudi Arabia, who's doing massive amounts of construction, right? So there are other places in the world that it's actually booming. Here in America, I don't see how they can stop. They got to keep building roads. They still got to replace government buildings and so forth. There's just so much that is there. But I think this could affect like a lot of, you're not going to have, companies building apartment complexes, right? Or building new buildings for businesses to go into. So when it comes to the wealth transfer, there's something that you need to pray about and really consider, what part does this affect you? Like if you want to do a ministry, right? You're going to need buses, right? Whether they're EV or gas, diesel or whatever, right? Short buses, long buses. Maybe you want to buy some buses for your local school system or for a private school. Minivans, right, are used a lot in ministry trips and so forth. And then we think about, like, for me, eventually I want to, have a nice home out in the country where I'm self-sustainable, and so I'm going to need vehicles, certain types of vehicles, off-road vehicles, off-road motorcycles and other types of vehicles. And I'm thinking about, like, okay, what about construction equipment? If I'm going to be doing a lot of things on my own land, I do maybe even actually want to have my own construction company. And if the opportunity presents itself that I can either just buy a construction company or buy the equipment that is needed. I don't know anything about the industry, so this is just something, these are just thoughts, right? I have to educate myself and get with people who are educated already and know what they're talking about in this area. When it comes to construction equipment, I think about what God has shared with me about having a place of refuge for people after the rapture. If you understand what I'm saying, that to leave a place of refuge, I believe that we'll be building in the wilderness, so to speak, right? Places of refuge all across this nation and all across the world. So anyways, folks, I just wanted to present this information to you, something to think about and pray about for down the road in the future. So I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.